jerked the blinds away, and the frickin' thing stood up. Loud as hell scream just came out of nowhere. My heart stopped. And she's yelling at him, "Get the gun, get the gun." It was on two legs. It was walking, and I'm going like, that is not a goddamn bear.
This is the Cryptid Creatures Podcast. I am Brian, and with me as always is my co-host Todd. What's going on, Todd?
Brian, can you totally believe that we're actually getting a couple famous guys on our podcast at this 20th episode?
I know, man. They were on that Hulu Sasquatch.
We have
doc.
Wayne and George is coming on. Wayne and George is coming on. The guys from the Hulu Sasquatch documentary.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too.
And they also have some great stories to tell us too.
Even better.
Encounters.
Even better.
Had, so, yeah.
Their encounters is what they're here for.
I know. That's awesome.
So I'm totally excited to bring these guys on. What's new with you, man? Anything?
No. My life's pretty boring.
Yeah. Other than this badass podcast we're doing.
Other than this podcast we do, yeah.
On, you know.
Meeting new people and all the folks we're talking to. It's amazing.
Absolutely. I'm enjoying that totally.
Yep,
being friends with these people. And check out our videos on YouTube, and we do some live stream from time to time. We'll try to give you guys a heads up on our group and Facebook page when we know.
Instagram, and we'll try and get all that out there for them with plenty of notice.
Right. And once again, we are going to the Iowa show, the paranormal show in Iowa, August 20, 21st, and 22nd, I believe.
I'm excited about that, too.
So we'll be there with our booth and doing some live podcasting and selling some merchandise. So if you guys are willing to come out and check it out, please come see us. So
right on.
Anyway, Brian, we got to get these guys on here. You ready for this?
Let's do it. Yep, bring them on.
All right, here we go. We're going to bring Wayne and George's on. All right, here we go. Wayne and George, welcome to the show, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Hola, hello. Hey there.
How's it going?
Oh, it's great to be here for our first foray into the into the water, so to speak, and see what happens.
Right.
Is this your first podcast?
Actually, it is. I mean, we've been doing alpha.
Oh, we had trial.
Well, like I was about to say, if you didn't interrupt, I've been doing alpha and beta testing of different equipments and things, and this is, this is the first live one, and we figured being interviewed first would be better than us doing our first one as interviewees or storytellers or whatever.
Right.
Heck yeah.
But you guys have also had better experience than this. You guys have been on a documentary on Hulu, the Sasquatch documentary. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you guys, you guys were telling your story. Yeah, we can get into that a little bit, but you guys have had encounters we definitely want to hear tonight for sure. But do you guys want to talk about the Hulu experience real quick and how that was for you guys, or your experience?
That's fine. I mean, in our circle of friends, and George, I know George agrees. You either love it or you hate it, because it wasn't all Bigfoot. It was,
it was definitely well made.
Well, yeah, but it's a fusion of a murder mystery and Sasquatch. Right. And when you have a name like Sasquatch, you figure it's going to be a bunch of fat old white guys out roaming around the woods looking for
Sasquatch,
looking for Bigfoot.
Right.
Where's Bobo screaming? Oh, it's kind of squatchy in these woods.
Right. Yeah.
Bobo was there, but he didn't get to say that.
He was there, wasn't he? He was in that as well.
Yeah, he actually was.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He wasn't too happy with the way it ended, but
I wasn't either, so I'm with him.
I feel the same way, but I'll tell you what, in retrospect, the concept of what they did talk about was interesting, and how they put it together was entertaining. But yeah, the big letdown is you're expecting this Bigfoot thing to happen, and it wasn't that at all.
Right.
Here's the secret of the big letdown. That was supposed to be a 12-hour, 6 episodes, 2 hours apiece miniseries. We were supposed to take them out hunting. They were supposed to come up and do another interview at our house.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And we were going to go to daylight sites that we've had reports. We were going to go to a night camp where we had a friend of ours had a bow hunting carcass taken by a Sasquatch, and all of that changed. Why? COVID.
Okay, I got you.
So that's why you got what you got.
I see. Well, you guys, you had mentioned that you guys had filmed for quite some time. How long did they film your guys' area there?
Ours was a little over 4 hours. I think Bob Gimlin's was an all-day event. Bobo Faye's was an all-day event. And we got edited down to, I think, 3.5 minutes.
I don't know.
Something like that. Yeah. So, and I mean, you saw, Bobo and Bob, it's the same thing, like 5 minutes apiece.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely not what everyone expected or anyone expected, apparently, except for the guys who finished it off and produced it. And maybe they didn't know what to expect at that point.
Well, if you look at the South by Southwest interview they did with the official panel, it was they claim it was literally left wide open to do whatever they wanted, but they didn't talk about the COVID restrictions and all that stuff that had to figure into it. But,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved the story. It was a wonderful story. I mean, as far as the whole criminal aspect, the pot murder mystery, I think it was awesome. I mean, it had me captivated.
Yeah.
The fact that it didn't have that much of Sasquatch, that was a little bit of a letdown. But it was very compelling. I mean, I was not disappointed whatsoever. I was not disappointed.
You were not disappointed at all? Okay.
No, not
it just
whatsoever.
wasn't what you expected, I'm sure, probably.
It was not what I expected, no, because we spent several hours telling them stories about what we experienced and how we have felt about this whole realm as part of our life. Right. And they only had snippets of what they wanted to use for effect.
Right.
Which was wonderful because it came across perfectly. But at the same time, it was basically a crime drama that centered about the murders of somebody on a park field.
Yeah.
Right.
And was it Bigfoot, or was it a guy with a nickname of Bigfoot?
Yeah,
or
which I thought it was great. I mean, I loved it. I really loved it. I've watched it 3 times already.
Yeah, I want to watch it again, actually, just because.
Yeah.
But.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to watch it again.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Wonderfully produced, wonderfully directed.
Very well made.
And the anime was super cool.
I like that, too.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that was super cool.
Yeah.
It was just the editing is what it's turned everybody off because it had to be edited so badly.
Really?
Yeah, it was wonderful.
No, what I'm saying is edited from 12 hours down to 2.
Oh,
right.
No. But I thought it was wonderful. I loved it. I'll watch it again. I mean, I'll watch it again over.
Yeah, I wish they could have made it longer.
Yeah.
You and me both.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And not because of personal satisfaction and an ego boost and boner, but just because I really love the way it looks. It was wonderful.
Right.
I did like how it was put together. I really did.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, we've got more important things to talk about, like your encounter.
Thank you.
And
Heck yeah.
Wayne, the reason that we got in touch was I think you had reached out. I had talked about a Dogman encounter, and you had responded, I think, to that message. Would you like to talk about that one first? I know you've had a Bigfoot encounter too, so whatever you want to start with, and then we can let George talk about his.
You made a post looking for Dogman.
Oh, I don't believe in
encounters. Oh, shut up. Good God.
Even though you've seen one, you don't believe in them? Or had an encounter?
I've seen various, but I don't believe in them.
Okay. He almost got squished by one, but that's another story. No, Bigfoot, you made the post, and I made a serious answer and just, general where it was, and, DM me, and then, of course, everybody else attacked you as a joke. Mine was 1979.
Why don't you take center stage?
Oh, good Lord. We're not worried. We're not worried about our camera, George.
You guys can take turns. You can take turns.
Dude, you're messing up their flow. Come on.
Take center stage. Like that, I have sips of my beer.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Brethren, Michigan, which is south of Traverse City in Manistee County. My parents had a cabin on Highbridge Road, south of the Manistee River. Mm-hmm. And my mother who was handicapped, and she loved to sit on the back porch, and she would feed the wild turkeys like they're pigeons, right?
Right.
So the back of the property and the south side of the property, so the east and south sides, bordered up to the Manistee National Forest. So it was completely wild, right? So there's no neighbors. So all you had back there was just solid woods, trashed cabin trailers from hunters that weren't supposed to be there, and the river, and that was it. Well, so her feeding would attract these huge herds of turkeys, and I'm talking 2 foot around, with toms with their feathers 4 feet high. So big birds, right? Well, my bedroom was the north end of the trailer, cabin, whatever. And I'm not sure the exact time, but it was middle of the night. But it woke me up that I could hear what I thought was a wolf or a dog tearing apart the turkeys, because the turkeys would roost around the feeding dishes that my mom left in the backyard. Now, I'm 16. I was junior in high school. And like I said, it woke me up, this dog snarling, and the turkey just, going crazy. Well, of course, without even looking, I just roll out of the bed and bang on the window, like, scaring the thing off, right? Well, it continued, and I just jerked the blinds away, and the frickin' thing stood up. And it's a full moon, which the moon was in the northeast of the sky. And, of course, up there you've got all those jack pines, so they're really kind of thin. So the canopy is not the heaviest, so you get a lot of the sunlight coming through. And when this thing stood up, I could see the snout, the ears, the whole 9 yards. And of course, I just screamed for my dad, because they were at the other end of the cabin. And, of course, he wakes up annoyed. What the hell's going on, yada, yada, yada. My mom heard what I was saying, and she's yelling at him, get the gun, get the gun. So he grabs his gun. He goes out on the front porch, which is the other side of the cabin. He can't see, the backside that I'm looking at. So he walks out on the deck, and he just fires off a couple of rounds into the sky and walks back in the house. And he's like, oh, no, go back to bed. And you're screaming at him, telling him what I'm seeing. And he's trying to tell me that it's just a wolf standing up against the propane tank. And I'm like, no, Dad, it's 30 feet away from the propane tank. And I saw it stand up. And he's like, yeah, go back to bed. I don't want to deal with this, blah, blah, blah. And so they go back to sleep. I don't, of course. And as I'm looking out the window, after he's done yelling at me, I catch the thing walking northeast away from the cabin, in through all the little underbrush, and it's got 2 turkeys in its snout, and it's on its hind legs. And I got a perfect outline of the whole damn thing. Ears, snout, hind legs. I mean, it freaked me out. And I got the whole yellow side eye, like, what the hell are you looking at, kind of a thing. And it's like happy as a pig, and you know what? Because it's got 2 fat turkey birds hanging out of its snout, and it's going home to feed whatever.
Out of his mouth? He's got him like by the neck or something, or what? By the head?
It's like one on both sides.
Wow.
And so then they go to bed, and I don't know how long it took me to go back to sleep. But then the next morning I get up, and of course I run right out to the yard, and there's guts and things everywhere. It had been out there a while, evidently, but it tore up. I don't know if exactly for sure now, because it's, we're talking 40 years ago, but easily there was 4 other birds there that were just ripped to shreds and just stuff all around. And the feed pans are everywhere. Of course, Dad and I went out, we just cleaned it all up, and I'm like, yeah, just a dog or a local wolf did all of this? I don't think so. Mm-hmm. And he wouldn't say nothing, just sloughed it under the rug, cleaned everything up, reset the pans, and acted like nothing ever else happened. And that was the last time I was at that cabin until maybe 10 years later, when I was married and had kids, and I did not go back unarmed myself.
Wayne, did you
I wouldn't either.
Wayne, did you get any good look at any details of this creature's face or any of its other bodily features, hands or anything like that, or feet, or did it have a tail?
No. It did have a tail. But again, because of being a full moon and, the cabin was in the trees and the light that was coming through, it was coming like behind the creature. So literally all I got, it was like watching a metal cutout, moving and marching across the thing. So it was like you got this black, perfect outline walking through the underbrush.
How tall do you think it was?
Standing up, I'm going to guesstimate based on the way the jack pines in that area are, because you got a certain amount of clearance before the branches start. I'm going to say snout to ground while it was standing up with the birds in its mouth, over 7 feet.
Yeah. Okay. Did you notice any kind of smell or anything, odor?
No, because I was in the house.
Yeah. Okay.
I was in the house and we had air conditioning, so all the windows were closed and everything. So that's like I said, I just banged on the window. Otherwise, if it would have been the old cabin, everything would have been wide open and we would have got everything. I would have heard it sooner, would have smelled everything,
Were there any clues before that or after? Did you find anything weird in the woods or hear any sounds or any howls or anything that was indifferent to what you're used to?
Before that, I had sounds. I had eye shine, but that's Bigfoot eye shine because it was round and red rather than the yellow and sloped and pointy. So it was obviously two different creatures. But yeah, we had heard, and actually relatives that I have living there still to this day in that area, have heard lots of things in the woods, howling, barking, fighting, things like that.
And your parents had never mentioned anything about that before, or
no,
seen anything like that?
And they were trail riders. They loved to take their Broncos. They were both medically retired. My mom had, anyway, they wouldn't need to go on all of that. But they had just jump in the Bronco and they would run the fire trails, around all the natural gas pumps and all the hunting trails, and that's all they did.
Right. Well, the interesting thing about Michigan is they have a lot of dogman sightings up there.
Yeah.
They're one of the most populated states for that, honestly.
Well, especially in that northwest quadrant. Yeah. Well, and the UP. Yeah.
UP as well. Yeah. I just don't know what these things are, where they're coming from, what's going on. But we love the dogman stories, and people love to hear these things too. So that's just crazy. Let's bring George on and have him tell his encounter now. I'm kind of interested in what he's got going on and what he's got to say. Hey, George.
All right, Chuck, let's put your phone down.
Hey. Don't believe.
George, what's happening, man? Why don't you tell us about the encounter that you had, or encounters if you had more than one?
Yeah.
Take us into what was going on, what you're doing, and what happened.
Start with
my first encounter. Gonna lower my glasses so I can actually see the camera.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm a New York City kid, so my school would regularly during the summer months bring kids up into the mountains. And one long weekend, my teacher, guidance counselor, for lack of a better word, Bertha Thomas, would select 5 or 6 students and would take us up to the mountains. We went to the Adirondacks.
Okay.
And I was 13 years old. And we went for this 3.5 days. And as we all settled down and had a wonderful time the first day and swam in the lakes and did all these fun things, the following day, all the other kids decided to just stick around camp and just hang out and do some more swimming and stuff. And I decided to go for a little hike, not really knowing what hiking was, because I'm dressed in cut-off jeans and pro-keds and a Kiss
being a city kid.
Yeah, complete hiking gear, Pro-Ket sneakers, Kiss t-shirt, cut-off jeans.
Right, cool.
So I'm playing out in the woods and walking around, and I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. I have no bearings whatsoever. And I'm 13 years old, and I'm going like, okay, let's just walk and hang out and see what's happening out here. And the only wildlife I knew were squirrels, pigeons, and rats. So
New York City wildlife.
Yeah. So it's to me, everything was like so foreign to me.
Right.
And I'm walking, and then I'm like, maybe to say I know how far I am. I'm maybe a quarter of a mile away from where our camp is. And I see this brownish black thing, and it's standing up and it's walking. And I'm thinking, oh my God, it's an effing bear. I've never seen a bear except at the Bronx Zoo.
Right.
And I'm going like, holy, it's a bear. It's a bear. And it's coming towards me. And it's coming diagonally towards me, where I'm standing right here. And instead of going away from me or across, it's coming diagonally, heading towards me. And I'm like going, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So, my 13-year-old head is going like, grab a stick. Like, that's going to do something to a bear. And
dummy.
It's just coming straight across diagonally. And it's getting larger and larger and larger and larger. And then I said, oh, that's not a bear. It was on two legs. It was walking. And I'm going like, that is not a goddamn bear. And I just totally freaked out, tried to hide behind a tree, tried to make myself as small as possible. And as I kept on hearing its footfalls.
Man, you were a dumb 13-year-old.
I gave you your time without saying a fucking word.
He's right, Wayne. He did.
That was a joke.
I know.
And I'm just like hiding, and I'm trying to like basically not pee my pants. And it's just walking, and it's coming closer. And I just said, I got to get out of here. I have to get out of here, because the stick is not going to protect me. And the closer it got, the bigger it got. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, this is not a bear. This is not a bear. And from the face, from the length of its body, the width, it was like, I got to get out of here. So I just turned around and hightailed it the same way I came back in, and just never looked back. Wow. And when I ended up back at the lake, I ended up far away from where our campsite was. So I had to walk down to where our campsite was. And I told my friends that I was with, the Lucier brothers, I said, you won't believe what I saw. I saw this humongous bear. And I had no concept of what it really truly was. And they go like, yeah, you saw a bear. So what? Big deal, you saw a bear. And it wasn't until years later that I saw the Patterson Gimlet film. And it's like this major light bulb. And I go like, holy crap. It wasn't a bear. And that's when I just started devouring every single book, every single article, everything I can about Bigfoot. Right. And that basically awoke in me my obsession with this creature.
George, is that what prompted your move to the Pacific Northwest?
No, actually, I was living in Los Angeles, going to film school at UCLA. Okay. And I went up to Alaska. I took a film documentary course in Alaska Pacific University. And then the winters were so harsh and so bleak that I would come down to Seattle every once in a while, just to get away from the bleakness and the darkness of Alaska. Yeah. So I fell in love with Seattle. And then when I got to Seattle, I said, okay, I'm going to make Seattle home. And then I started getting more into the whole Bigfoot Sasquatch phenomenon. And I would go hiking and I would explore, and then I would start finding things. And I started going like, they live here. and this is what made this home.
Washington
Nice.
Washington has the most encounters
Yeah,
reported of any state.
Yeah, we have the most
state.
sightings. Yeah, we have the most sightings outside of California.
When did
live?
Go ahead, Ben.
No, we actually live right across the water from the Indianola sightings. If our banners weren't up, you could see the water, and literally the shore on the other side is the Squamish tribal reservation, and
Wow.
all the Indianola sightings are there to this day. And actually, I was working with people on the ferry that as early as a year ago, 2 years ago, we're seeing them in neighbors' yards, in the woods, alongside a gas station, hiding in the bushes, going through dumpsters. I mean, just all kinds of weird stuff.
Right. I see the banner behind you now, the Hulu Sasquatch banner. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I just saw that. Yep.
Yeah.
But George, real quick, let me ask George a couple more questions before we switch around here. Did you get any good look at the creature's face, George, when it was coming at you at the angle, or what features did you notice, and did you also notice any kind of smell?
Remember, I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 60 years old now.
Right.
So what I remember is very vague.
Mm-hmm.
But it did not look like a bear, and it did not look like an ape. It looked like us, but it was a very different us.
Interesting.
It was just it was maybe 100 yards away.
Mm-hmm.
And the closer it kept on getting, the more concerned I was for my own survival. So that's when I turned around and I just hauled.
I don't blame you.
But it was terrifying. I mean, as a 13-year-old child, you're terrified.
I'm sure.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
I would have been terrified if it was an actual bear. And then when you realize it's not a bear, it makes it even worse.
I can't imagine. I can't.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
The weird thing is the more that we talk to people, the more we're hearing that, I always used to think Bigfoot was an ape-like creature, but I'm hearing more and more it's a humanoid with hair kind of thing people are seeing out there, which is weird.
Closer to human. Yeah.
I truly don't believe it's an ape. I truly do not believe it. In my heart of hearts, I do not believe it's an ape. I really believe it is an unknown humanoid that is somehow vectored off the Homo sapien, Homo erectus line, and is just somehow living a very elusive, hidden life somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not believe it's a primate. I mean, we're primates, obviously,
Right.
but I do not believe it's an ape-like primate.
Yeah. Dr. Meldrum had that theory too, that the evolutionary line wasn't a line. It was more like a tree with different, some things.
Yeah.
We were in a line and some things branched off and went in different ways. And he said that's probably what Bigfoot did.
Yeah.
If we kept going, they went, they took a left and kept on going.
Yeah, Melba and I have talked about that a lot in the last couple of years, and we've discussed it ad nauseum at times, because she does have some wonderful proof. She does have some wonderful DNA proof.
You're talking about Melba Ketchum? Is that who you're talking about?
Ketchum, yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And Dr. Meldrum does as well.
Yeah, he does. We'd love to talk to him sometime.
Especially with that one cast that he has of Cripplefoot.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I mean, that could not be faked.
No.
I mean,
there's no way.
In order for somebody to fake that, they have to be a podiatrist and have a lot of information as to how the foot functions.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Wayne, what's your concept on Bigfoot? George gave us his. What about you? What do you think Bigfoot is?
Well,
while we're talking about it,
as you know from my quote in the film,
he thinks it is interdimensional piece of shit.
Excuse me? I was thinking about doing the whole, don't you think it's
you interjected when I was talking, so I can say my 2 cents.
Blah, 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 blah.
We love it. We love it, guys. We love it.
Yeah, I know, right?
This is good.
I do not think that they can teleport. What I do feel is, have you ever seen those charts where it shows the evolution of man, and you go from the chimpanzee or the little monkey, and then it stands up a little bit, and then it stands up a little more, and it stands up a little more. I have a T-shirt somewhere, and I can't remember where it's at now, that standing behind the very first monkey is an alien pleasuring himself in the monkey.
What?
So you think these things are coming from aliens, possibly?
So I tend to believe that, well, if you look at our evolution, okay, we went from these, and look at the beginning of 2001: A Space Odyssey. That's a prime example. We went from these idiot monkeys to all of a sudden learning how to use a bone as a weapon overnight. And then all of a sudden our consciousness that was going along in a nice flat line all of a sudden started skyrocketing out of nowhere. For what reason? I think our civilization had some help, and I think all of these species that we're seeing, all the different homos this and homos that, sapiens and Neanderthals and Sasquatches, and I can't even remember what the DNA name that Melba was able to get assigned to Sasquatch that she did, but it is a homo derivative. I know that.
Okay.
It's homo something. It's homo G something or other. We'd have to ask Melba again. But anyway, so I think that's what is the impetus of the splitting off on the tree. I think our civilization has had some help, and just who they are. I mean, are they the grays? Are they the grays, the whites, the blues? God knows. I mean,
right.
I'm not into UFOlogy all that much, but anyway.
Well, Wayne, that's a great concept. I've thought about that myself. Maybe all of us were put here by other creatures, other things. People hate me for saying this, but maybe aliens are actually angels, or vice versa.
There are several books that follow
no one really knows. No one truly knows.
Yeah.
And
There's
we just want to find out.
that I know of, and it's called "God Was an Alien." Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, there's quite a bit of it out there. I mean, I'm not the first dingleberry to come up with it.
You know, maybe to enter this, maybe for angels / aliens to enter our dimension, they have to come in a physical form, and that's what these spaceships are. Are they putting Bigfoot or Dogman on this planet, or are these things just natural creatures? You know, you talk about the juvenile Bigfoot, all that stuff, so it looks like they're reproducing. But then you talk about, the vanishing or the portals. I don't know. I'm just as confused. Before I started this whole venture, I thought I'd have answers, but I just get more confused the more I hear things. So,
do I know? No. Is it my opinion? Yeah. Do I? That's one of the big areas that I'm open to reading and researching and everything else. Now, as far as my Bigfoot stuff is concerned, I'm not a believer. I'm a knower, because what I talked about in the film was eye shine, and I saw the outline of the left shoulder and the head, because it was kind of like cockeyed looking at me from the corner of the window, and I had multiples like that over the years. And that was at my grandmother's home in western Oakland County in Michigan. I had some actually down in your neck of the woods, in Burnett, Indiana, near northeast Terre Haute. Yeah. My family had purchased a land grant from the government when they separated Indiana Territory into the Indiana state. And the piece of land that they got had an ancient tribal burial spot. And because it was on top of a ridge, the person that got there first decided to put his house on top of the ridge and use the stones that he found as part of the foundation for the cabin.
Oops. Not
knowing that was the native tribal burial ground. Well, you can imagine the kind of problems that created. And then over the years, and then you jump forward 120 years, I'm a teenager, and my great uncle has cattle on what used to be my great grandparents' place, and he's losing about one a year, and he's trying to blame it on the dogs. Well, I happened to be down there the one year, and he's like, "Oh, we found one last night," and so I go out on the tractor with him, and it's directly across from where the burial grounds are. And all that's there is the rib cage and part of the spine. And to my teenage mind, it just didn't make sense. And then, you know, you look at the Indiana project. I mean, I know they're in the area because that area is just solid woods. Mm-hmm. You know, Otter Creek and all around there. Mm-hmm. Anyway, and then jump forward to 2003, and this is where I had my, oh my God, it is what this is experience. It was down in, my wife at the time and I were looking to buy property. We were going to build a log cabin lodge, you know, hotel, motel kind of a thing, next door to some friends of ours that own a campground right on Spirit Lake Highway. And I'm out, and it's broad daylight, and I'm taking a hike down towards the mud flow. But the road that I'm taking, it's a forest road, and I go past the little, you know, the metal gate that's on the edge of my buddy's property. And I'm heading down into the Weyerhaeuser and state land. Well, it was all state land then because, you know, anyway. But it's like it's a tunnel of young alders because that's all it was could grow in the mud flows after everything, you know, went up. And it was so thick, it was literally black. Okay. Now it was like going through a railroad tunnel. It's clear where I'm coming in, and it's clear where I can see out because I can see right on to the mud flow, and you can see the, you know, dead trees and whatever. And that's where I'm heading. But the road on either side, it's got the crown, and it goes down into that standing, sloppy, decaying leaves, and it just stank, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And as I'm walking, and it's probably I don't know, maybe a quarter of a mile in, and I notice there's a cross in the trails, and I didn't expect it. But to my left, there's like some light rather than the light directly in front of me that's out on the mud flow. I noticed some more light to my left, and I happen to turn to look that way. And as I look that way, I'm getting this dread, like I shouldn't be here. Something's wrong. And it was just getting more and heavier and heavier. And just as I started to turn back around, I hear all this commotion from behind me. And I'm talking like frickin' freight train commotion. And I turn around. Here's two alder trees, 60 feet tall, 50, 60 footers, 6 to 8 inches in diameter. And they're maybe 3-4 feet apart. And something shaking them like a frickin' cheerleader's pom-poms. And I'm talking boom, 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 boom. And behind it and to the left of it, I'm hearing more commotion, for lack of a better word, in the brush. So right away I'm thinking, that's not the Roosevelt elk that are in the area. And that's not a cougar. There's something here. And in my brain, I'm hearing, get the hell out. You don't belong here. Get the hell out. So I start hightailing it sideways like a freaking crab as fast as I can because I'm trying to watch it, whatever it is. So if it's going to kill me, I want to see it. If it's coming after me, I'm going to see it.
Right.
So I'm running sideways, and I get maybe 50 yards, and I'm hearing it slopping through this standing water. Just, you know, like whatever. And brushes moving and this, that, and the other. And all of a sudden it stops, and I don't hear anything else. Well, I keep moving, and I get about another 50 feet, 100 feet or so, and I still don't hear anything. So I stop. And I'm looking back at an angle to my left, and I'm going, did it leave? Is it still there? What? And as soon as I stop, and I'm thinking that, and that dread has started to drop, and that voice and whatever has faded off. But the minute I stop, boom, right even with me, as far down the path as I've come, in the woods, you know, back because it's so dark I couldn't see back there, and I didn't know why until years later, and I'll tell you about that later. It started shaking another tree. Like as far down the trail as I have gone, it has done so in the woods. Mm-hmm. Now that happened 3 separate times until I got back to the metal gate. Something or some things followed me, and every time I stopped to see if I could hear or see anything else, it was like, we're still here. Keep moving your fat little butt.
Right. Get out. Don't stop.
Right. So I got to the gate, and the gate was like right on that borderline between shadow and sunlight, because there's Pullen Creek is right there, and there was a little bridge, and I got over that. Once I got to that, it was like I felt like it was internally like I was in the clear, and I got back to my buddy's place and whatever, and I mentioned it to them, and they're like, "Oh, well, glad to hear you made it back." And I'm like, "Really? That's all you're gonna say is you're glad I made it back?" It's like, dude, you've been here since before the volcano blew, and you're not gonna tell me what's going on?
Mm-hmm. Right?
Because the guy that's a friend of mine lived next door to Harry Truman, the guy that stayed on the mountain. And
oh, jeez.
Yeah, you can't tell me. And Harry used to talk about Bigfoot all the time. I mean, there's in some of the videos of before the volcano went off, he's talking about it. And if they're next door, and he's a kid, he knows something.
Yeah.
So anyway, so years later, I mean, literally last summer, I took my youngest 2 boys down there, who are 13 and 15 at the time, and I went to go check out the site. And the guy, my buddy, says, "Oh, well, they clear cut it." And I'm like, "Oh, great." I said, "What does that mean?" He said, "Oh, you'll see." He said, "Don't worry about it." He said, "All you got to worry about, there's an old cougar that wanders around. He kind of keeps the young ones in check and blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, "All right." So I get down there, and sure enough, they clear cut that area. And the reason it was so black back there was because right behind where those creatures were in the slump, in the muck, was this 45-degree hill that just shot straight up and blocked all the light from coming down in. So it was like walking through a valley, like a V, right? Mm-hmm. So there's no light coming in from the sides. All you're getting from the top. And back then, the top was nothing but canopy.
So they had a place to hide, and
they were hiding.
The sun, yeah.
So my sons and I, we walked in, and of course everything's now wide open and all beautiful with flowers and whatever. And we walk down, and we go to that same crossing, and I'm telling them the story, and they're freaking out. And so we went down to the mud flow, and I walked around and down. We went all the way down into the water to where to the edge where the creeks are. And this is like maybe another 100 yards down and around the corner. So there's another ridge there. And as we're standing there, and I kid you not, my 13-year-old and I heard it, but my 15-year-old, I don't know if it's because he's afraid and he doesn't want to admit it, but my youngest and I heard this female voice going, "Nah, nah, nah, nah." And it had that pitch and tone of a female, but it was a definite, boom, 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 boom. And it was like, and my son just grabbed me by the bar and goes, "Dad, can we go now?"
So you heard some kind of language. You heard some kind of language being spoken.
Yeah, and when you're in there, you're so far from anybody, even though technically you're like a half a mile from people. But on 350 degrees around you, there's nothing for miles.
Right.
And what's right in that 10 degrees where there is people is a ridge that was 100 feet high, 200 feet high. And there's, you couldn't hear anything from the other side of it. So I don't know what it was, where it came from, but it definitely wasn't English.
Wow, that's crazy, Wayne. You've definitely had enough of your experiences and encounters to last you, if not more. Wow. And that was my next question. George, do you have any other things to share with us, or do you guys still go? Are you guys out and about up there in the state of Washington and doing some investigating still, or what's going on up there?
Well, I was sitting here while Wayne was talking about his experience. I was sitting here thinking, your channel is a cryptid channel, correct?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
We're anything cryptid, so to speak. Yes.
As I mentioned, being from New York and growing up in New York, and after I discovered my fascination with Sasquatch, I read a lot, and I got privy to several cryptids, and the Iroquois Indians, the Iroquois Nation, talk about this cryptid called the Wendigo.
Yeah.
Are you guys aware of the Wendigo of upstate New York?
I have.
My grandson is fascinated with the Wendigo.
Yes,
Yeah.
he is. Brian's told
He's
me this before.
asked us to do a show on this many times.
Well, here we
Yeah.
go
So, yeah.
a little bit.
I
Let's
think
talk
you
about
should. It's a very scary creature.
Yes, it's terrifying.
Yes. And also in the Pine Barrens in New Jersey, we also have the Jersey Devil,
Right. We've done a show
which
on that. Yep.
I studied about that. I was wondering if you guys know about that, and also if you have actually researched that.
We've done an episode on it. I think it's episode 13.
I think it was
maybe.
13. Yep.
Jersey Devil Encounter. So if you guys get a chance, listen to that episode on our podcast.
Yep.
And you can check it out.
He's a kid that lives out there in New Jersey.
Yep. Those are hard to come by, those Jersey Devil Encounters.
Yeah.
As are Dogman Encounters. Now, Wendigo, haven't heard those yet, but I'm hoping to.
Well, because Wendigo, there aren't too many survivors. When you see a Wendigo.
Yes. No, they pretty much get slaughtered.
Okay. What is a Wendigo, George? What exactly are we talking about here?
The natives believe that it is it's a spirit that takes on the shape of a creature. Some have actually said it has like antlers like a deer, and some have said that it is a ghastly white being that has these amazing teeth jaw things that just crawls on the ground and stalks you when you're in the woods and just finds you and just tears you apart. And when you start fearing the most of being in the woods, that's when you become its prey.
Okay.
And the worst possible person that you are is the best person for them to prey on. Because they prey on the evil that you are.
Now, this sounds paranormal to me more so.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Than.
But it's an Indian belief, and it's like they really believe in that. It's just like the Indians totally believe in Sasquatch, and they've had it in their lore forever.
Forever, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that gets me, and I was thinking about this today before we talked to you guys, and I know we were going to talk about Dogman a little bit, was I was thinking, werewolf. Werewolf has been around for hundreds of years, right? That philosophy, that theory, that phenomenon, and where did it come from and why? Did someone just make this up for a movie? As I'm starting to hear about these Dogman encounters, for example, I'm starting to think that no, these things have been around and that's what they are. And, people are actually starting to see more and more of them because they're populating and growing or what have you. But this werewolf theory to me sounds like, these were dogmen people were seeing back in the day. Werewolf does mean, I believe it means kind of man wolf, does it not? I'm not sure the exact definition of the nomenclature, but it means something with man and wolf, I believe.
Yeah. And
people are seeing these things now, and it's like, holy shit, they weren't kidding, So you hear about the Wendigo, and you wonder the same thing. Where are these things coming from? What are they there? Are they coming from a portal? Are they a flesh and blood thing living on Earth, hiding in caves? What is going on here? It just blows my mind, guys. Really.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the forest is a really, really scary place. I did an excursion down to Willow Creek and Bluff Creek for a week by myself.
Nice.
Which people always say, don't go into the forest by yourself. Right. Which, of course, I have no brain capacity to listen to people. So I just hooked up the camper to my Jeep and headed on south. And found a nice place to camp and decided to go stalking the woods in the middle of the night by myself with my little GPS tracker and a camera and a little head flashlight thing. And I'm walking around and I'm going like, okay, chances are A, cougar, B, bear, C, Bigfoot, or D, dumbass pot grower who's going to blow my brains off.
Right.
So it's going to be one of those four.
Right.
And I'm walking around and walking around and walking around. And every once in a while, I will go like, click, mark on my GPS. Click, mark on my GPS. And I told you about this.
Oh.
And I'm walking, and all of a sudden I get to this one place, and I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to stop. Unlike the rest of the Sasquatch, quote unquote, hunters, I don't bang on pots. I don't shoot off fireworks. I don't scream. I don't have a girls' orchestra singing songs. I'll just sit there by a tree for an hour or so and just listen and wait.
Right.
And all of a sudden, this goddamn loud as hell scream just came out of nowhere. My heart stopped. I'm going like, what the hell was that? And I'm going like,
yeah, they knew you were there. They knew you were there.
Yeah, and I'm just like going like, what the hell was that? And I'm thinking in my head, okay, screech owl. I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it.
Me too.
Yeah,
I wasn't even there.
I'm going screech owl, leopard, lion, tiger, giraffe, gorilla. I'm in Northern California. What the hell was that?
Holy crap, you do have goosebumps.
I have goosebumps. That scared the living shit out of me.
Yeah.
And
That's what we like to hear on here. Yeah.
And I'm by myself. I have no weapon. I have nothing. And I'm at least a mile away from my Jeep. And I'm going like, I got to get the hell out of here. So I'm following my GPS coordinates all the way back. And it's about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm going like, I don't know what the hell that was.
Or what I was thinking.
And I'm by myself. So I get back to my Jeep. And I get inside the Jeep. And I'm trembling and trembling and trembling. And I make it back to my camper, which was about 3 miles away. And I get inside there, and it's like I just locked the door, pulled down all the shades, and I'm thinking I'm safe now. And I'm going like, what an asshole. Like this thing is going to follow me, 3 miles away.
Right.
And all of a sudden, like, open the door and go like, hello. But I mean, the scream was so unbelievable.
You seem more upset by that than you did your other encounter you talked about.
Oh, yeah, way more, because the other ones, there's no vocals. It was just a visual. But when you actually hear something, and it just was, it was daunting. It was daunting, the power behind the vocals.
Did it resonate through your body, George?
Oh, it just totally knocked you for a loop.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just feel it. You can feel it in your head. You can feel it in your chest.
So it was pretty close then.
Yeah, you could feel it everywhere. Yeah.
Man.
And then the last one I had, which was the last time I went camping as well, where I was doing one of those cleansing things where I decided to go and trek and visit all the missions along California.
Oh yeah.
From Oregon to California and visit all the missions because I was doing some kind of like a spiritual cleanse kind of thing.
Yeah. Cool.
And I ended up in this one campground in Central Oregon in the middle of winter, which was completely just empty. There was like 2 RVs and myself in a tent.
In a tent.
And in the middle of winter. And I set up the tent and I had my dinner and everything was going pretty cool. And
you guys are awesome.
I'm half asleep, half awake. And all of a sudden I see this thing crushing the tent down. And I'm like smashing it, going like this. And it keeps on pressing down, and I'm going like, oh, fuck. Hey! Sorry.
You're fine.
George Burrito. George Burrito.
Please be a bear. Is that what you were thinking, or what?
Oh, please be like a guy just playing a practical joke or just being an idiot. And all of a sudden I just heard it run away, and I'm going like, oh my God. I screamed and screamed and screamed like I was a 6-year-old girl. Needless to say, I never slept a wink after that.
Wow.
No offense to 6-year-old girls.
Yeah. All senses were working overtime. I mean, everything was working overtime, thinking, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on.
Wow.
And I woke up in the morning, I looked around for footprints, I couldn't find any footprints, I couldn't find anything, and everything was the way it was, nothing was moved, nothing was thrown about, nothing was, but I mean, the tent was actually smashed in. And I was like freaked out. I was so freaked out that the following morning, I was supposed to be there for 4 days. The following morning, I packed up camp and I bailed. I bolted.
Wow.
I was not going to be there anymore.
You called me on the phone and told me that you went and checked all the other RV campers and the office. And they hadn't seen or heard anything except the one guy that was down at the far end. And that's when you said, I think I should get out of here. And I said, yeah, you need to get out of there.
Wow.
That was my last recorded event. And that was, I think, 2017.
Yes, it was.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nothing like a Bigfoot sighting to cleanse your soul.
Oh, no kidding. And I still went all the way down to Mission Los Angeles and Mission Santa Monica.
Wow.
So I still did it all the way. And it was like, stopping in the Redwoods was an experience, going like, okay, bring it on, big guy.
Yeah. It's a way to do it. Do it right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we're going to wrap it up here pretty soon, but I just wanted to ask you guys, you guys are going to be going on some festivals. You got some things coming up you're going to be speaking at?
What's the next one you guys are going to be
in information on that.
Our first festival will actually be out in Cripplefoot territory.
Medellin.
Which is Medellin Falls, Washington. It's up in the northeast corner of the state, north of Spokane.
Okay.
And then in July, we're going to be down in Kelso, Washington, in the Mount St. Helens area. In August, we're going to do Nampa, Idaho. It's just a one-day deal.
Don't forget Sierra.
And at the end of August, we're going down to, what's the name of it?
Sierra Bigfoot.
Twain Hart down in the Sierras in California. So those are the 4 that we've got for this summer. And we will be launching our own podcast at the Medellin Falls event.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
No Myth with Wayne and George.
Sounds awesome.
So, yeah.
We'll be listening.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have had everything up and running now, but the organizers have asked us to do the big opening and reveal at the festival.
Yeah.
That's cool. No, it is.
It's their first year and it's our first thing, so we're kind of going together.
If you guys want any pointers or have any questions about the podcast part, we can probably help you out and answer some questions on that too. Sometimes it's kind of confusing and crazy, so feel free to reach out to us on that for sure.
Greatly appreciate that.
That would be super.
Yeah,
that would be super.
Trying to do all of this so quickly at the last minute has bbeen hellacious.
I'm sure. Yeah, we know what we struggle with, and we're not, like where you guys are at as far as where you got going on and your thing.
We're nobodies. Nobody wants to hear us talk.
No, Brian, come on.
Really, I mean, we're just like you guys. I mean, we go out in the woods and we do our thing, and all I did was answer a post, and we went and did an interview, a big whoopee-doo.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting next to him, and all of a sudden this salvo comes over my bow, and he goes, "Hey, guess what? We're flying to Los Angeles to be in a Hulu documentary." And I'm going like, "What?"
He hasn't wanted to be any part of all of the Hollywood thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Since he got passed over as Joey.
Passed over as Joey.
Joey.
Really? On Friends?
Matt LeBlanc did an interview with Corbin, and in that interview, he talked about the other actor got turned over because he was wearing a plaid shirt at the interview, and they thought he was a cowboy. That plaid shirt and cowboy was him.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
It was
Really?
not the
What?
guy. It was not that Ungie guy that they
Well,
found to look like Joey.
George,
It was him.
George said he was down there, working in
Man.
working in
LA.
so
And I got his photo to prove it.
I believe you.
See?
That's awesome.
Had you worn a different
Right.
shirt.
My mug shot, as I call it.
Yes.
Well, I tell you what,
Back
it's,
when he was effable. As he likes to say.
you guys are awesome, man. This has been a great episode. and a
Yeah, you
great
guys
show.
are awesome. I hope we can talk again, man, because you guys are awesome.
Hey,
Yeah.
Most definitely.
guys will always be around. I mean,
You
Yeah.
got to have us on your podcast once you get it up and
and
running
that's
too.
what I told you that day. Once we get all the kinks worked out, I gotta have you guys on, and if back and forth, as long as whenever you need, something to talk about,
Sure.
we're here.
Right.
And I would
And
love,
Right
I,
on.
I would,
Heck
I
yeah.
would love to talk about the Wendigo. I would love to. talk
Oh,
about
I
the
would
Wendigo.
too. Yes, we definitely need to do that show.
right.
Yeah.
He's a Wendigo freak.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Brian
My
wants to do
grandson
one
would
for his
love that.
grandson, so we can set that up and make that happen for sure.
Yeah, because I
Yeah,
want to
for
know
sure.
more about that too.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, because I keep on reading about the Wendigo and I keep on studying it and watching videos and stuff, and it's just unbelievable. It's enthralling. It is completely enthralling.
And after you guys are done with your show circuit,
Yeah.
we'll try and work
Definitely.
in a Wendigo show.
I know, dance, monkey, dance.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. That's
Right on. We'll keep we'll keep in touch with you guys, and maybe we can see you at a show some point if we make
Yeah,
it
that'd
out
be
to
awesome.
one. But definitely keep in
sweet.
touch
Yeah,
and let us know
somebody
what's
was trying
going
to get
on.
us to go to one in Iowa in August, but
Yeah, we're doing that one.
Yeah, we're doing that
Oh,
one.
the paranormal one?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
that ended up
Yeah.
being the first one we could actually make and
Yeah,
go to
that's-
make happen. If you guys can get out there, man, do it.
With
Yeah,
everything
we'll be
going
there.
on and all everything, maybe next year.
Okay.
I mean, I put it in the database to look at for next summer, but this year there's just too much to
I hear you.
get going.
I hear you.
Yeah.
It is crazy.
Yeah.
It's a busy time,
right.
But all right, guys, we'll let you out of here. We appreciate it so much. Thanks for
Yeah,
coming on.
Thank you so much.
We'll be in touch, and you guys take care. Thanks for
was a
the
pleasure meeting
thanks
you
for the
both.
show, guys.
You too.
Yeah.
See you guys.
All right,
Bye, Brian. Bye, Todd.
bye.
See ya.
Man, that was an awesome episode. Those guys are hilarious,
Oh, man,
dude.
kidding. I was having so much fun with them. I hope we get to talk to them again.
Absolutely.
That was awesome.
Absolutely. I wish them the best in their ventures with their live streams and their podcast. And
Yeah,
we'll
me
definitely
too.
stay in touch with those guys and bring them back on, and maybe they'll ask us to be a guest on their show at some point.
Well, maybe. That'd be cool.
I'd like to be a guest on somebody's show at some point. So
Heck yeah. Hey, don't we have didn't we have an offer?
we have a couple out there. We gotta get back to those guys. I
Just gotta
think so.
talk to them, man.
Yeah.
That one sounds fun. It's in England.
Yes, the UK one. We'll see what's going on with those guys. But again, everyone, we appreciate your listening. Thanks so much. Tell your friends,
Yeah. That is
family,
amazing
whatnot.
how big this thing is getting. So thank you all so much
Absolutely.
for listening and supporting us.
Yes, absolutely. And if you haven't come to our Facebook page, join our group page. We're on Instagram as well. Follow us on Instagram. Just look us up, Cryptid Creatures, in different formats. And
Right. Yep.
thanks for the support. Brian, thanks for this venture. And thanks again for an awesome episode, man.
Right on, brother. Always fun.
Right on. All right, you take care. Till next
Yep.
time. See ya.